morning, Sangha. My name is Upaya. I'm a Dharma teacher intern here at the temple. And today's bell chant will be The End of Suffering. And this is on page 28 of your bell. May the sound of this bell penetrate deeply into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them ceases. Understanding comes to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child appears in the heart of the lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers. Listening to the bell, I feel the afflictions in me beginning to dissolve. My mind calm, my body relaxed, a smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the bell, my breath brings me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully. And we bow. Please join us in noble silence until the service begins at 10 o'clock.
This time, I'd like to invite our incense lighters forward. And as they're preparing to light incense, we can recite the incense gatha. If you all would like to chant along with us, it's on page 2 of the chant book. Together we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Nasanskara. I'm a Dharma teacher intern here at the temple. Good to see you all this morning. Before we begin the service, a few courtesy announcements. There is a downstairs area for families with children. Anybody that needs to stretch their legs, step out for a moment, get a breath of fresh air. There's a water fountain down there. There's a restroom down there. There's some cups, a kitchen, some books, a library, and some toys. So something for everyone down there. Feel free to utilize that space. Through those curtains are also a couple of bathrooms. And if you feel the need to stand or use a restroom or stretch your legs during service, please walk around the back of the seated cushions in between the wall and the cushions and not in front of the dais out of respect for folks viewing on the camera at home. All right, with that, I think we'll stand and greet each other silently. We remain standing. We'll turn our chant books to page 3 and chant the 3 refuges together.
I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
And go flip your chant book over to page 4. We'll chant together the Heart Sutra.
Dhamma Rajya Arvita Hridaya Sutra Dhamma compassion, from the deep practice of prajna, paramita, perceive the emptiness of all five skandhas, and deliver all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No cease from suffering. No path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Dhamma prajna paramita Hridaya Sutra.
Well, good morning again. Good to see you all today. As I said, my name is Nasanskara. I'm a teacher intern here at the temple. Today I wanted to talk about the work that we're called on to do as Buddhist practitioners. What it is that we do in our practice, both on the cushion and off the cushion, and how those things manifest in the world. But first, I wanted to sort of check in with you all a little bit. As a teacher intern, and someone who sits up here and and speaks to you all, I think it's important to stay in touch with the Sangha, to be in contact with you all, to let you all know how I'm doing and to know how you're doing, so that we can cultivate that relationship together. And I can tell you that this month has been a challenging month for me, or not this month of May, in the last 4 days, but say for the last month, I haven't felt very good. I've kind of had these lingering blues a little bit, and I haven't felt very motivated. I've been at home. After I get off of work, I work, too many hours, as most of us probably can relate to. And I get home and I have these choices. I need to do all of this stuff that I know that will better my life, or that make things easier for me. It is on. How are we looking in there? Okay, very good. But this, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I found it difficult to sort of get about that business. And instead, I've really been not motivated. I come home from work and I'm like, I need to study, do these studies, to answer these emails, to sort of, there's some amount of maybe temple business, amount of, my home life business, amount of work business that I need to be about. And instead I'm like, well, probably I could probably look at Facebook for a little bit on my phone, I probably get some snacks out of the fridge, sit on the couch and like, whoa, like YouTube. Have you all seen YouTube? Right? Like, wow. So I'm aware of these feelings. I'm aware that I have sometimes ups and downs and I swing a little bit, thankfully not too much. My mother was diagnosed with bipolar later in her life. And so this is something that I'm keenly aware of, right? The moods that I have, and if I'm feeling good or not feeling good. But thankfully, I'm usually in a fairly good mood. I'm usually, somewhat of a cheerful person. And even when I have sort of down times, they're generally situational, and I can often pinpoint what's going on with me. So I thought about this, because this has been a lingering thing over the last 3-4 weeks. What is going on with me? Well, at the turn of the year, very end of last year, we sold our house that we had lived in for about 10 years, and we moved to a new house. And even though I've worked at my current job for a couple of years, it still feels kind of newish, and in a lot of the things I'm still sort of figuring out. Don't tell my boss. I'm still trying to figure out kind of how it fits into everything and how I fit into it. And oftentimes I'm like, I worry I don't fit into it very well. What am I doing here at this job when people are suffering in the world? There's people who need food. I should go out and feed them. There's people who need housing. There's people who have so many needs. There's a war going on in some part of the world, and all we have to do is go help those people. And so me going to work seems just like what is going on, sometimes for me. And so I get a little bit in my own head, and then on top of that, when I get that feeling, now I'm not doing the things that I've been, supposed to be doing. So I'm not really accomplishing the things I feel like I should accomplish at home. And I hate that word should, right? And so I get into almost like a little bit of a doom spiral, like, or at least I usually don't, but that's kind of what has happened to me this month, wow, you're really not accomplishing the things that you should be accomplishing. There it is again, right? And, why is that? Well, it's probably because you're lazy, or probably because, you're not any good at those things or something. So maybe, you just like, and I don't want to tell you, all of the things, the little voice in my head, it comes alive. And I know where this comes from. It's a voice from the past. It's from, I being a Buddhist practitioner, I have sort of looked into these things. We're supposed to be mindful of our thoughts, feelings, perceptions, of our mental constructs, of our mental formations. I know how they relate to my life, how they are conditional. I know that they're coming from something from the past, and it's probably not true. But knowing it and in those times is can sometimes be a little bit tricky. The Satipatthana Sutta, one of the main discourses on mindfulness, tells us to be mindful of our body, of our feelings, emotions, our mind, thoughts, perception, our memories. These things all have influence on the way that we're feeling right now in the present, or can, if we allow them, to have that influence and to dictate our actions in the present time. When this is something I could have set down a long time ago. But here I am, couched up, looking at, world's greatest semi-truck crashes on YouTube for like the 5th time. It's funny because it's true. The beginning of the Satipatthana Sutta even says, right there in it, in the first lines, it says, monks, this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of dukkha and discontent, and for the realization of nirvana. Right, so it says, be mindful of these things, your emotions, your thoughts, perceptions, your memories. See how they're impermanent, how they're conditional, how they arise and they fall away. So I know this, I talked about it in my last talk, but this month it's kind of been sticking around for me, so. I also went about a different way or I thought to myself, I'll go about a different way of writing this Dharma talk today. In the past, the few Dharma talks that I have begun to give here at the temple since becoming a teacher intern, I've really prepared, I've practiced a lot, I've written these things down. Sometimes 2-3 weeks in advance, I have, pages of stuff that I've written, and I give the talk to my cat at home, and I give the talk to my wife, and I scratch notes with the pen, and I do these things, and I really prepare. And then I have come in and I set up here, and I think that they've gone okay. But I do feel this sort of, I have this feeling of over-preparedness a little bit, that of preparation that comes through in the talk and makes it just a little bit stiff. And I'm not saying that this one's not going to be that way. I'm still working that out. But what I did was I wanted to not sort of do that, or I wanted to learn how to, in order to convey the messages that I want to convey to you all, I want it to be from the heart. And in order to find that, I was like, I'm not going to prepare as hard this time. So I had these ideas of what I wanted to say in my mind. And then I was like, they're in my mind. I kind of think about it in the daytime, but I hadn't written anything down. And, I'll get to it. But again, this came along with I'm not feeling so good. and the not being prepared, or the not writing down, and the constant sort of preparation for my talk also gave rise to anxiety in me. I have had a lot of anxiety in the past, years ago, and at one point, many years ago, I gave up caffeine. I read about what a powerful drug that was. I gave it up, and I began a meditation practice in earnest at that time, and my anxiety went away. It just almost vanished overnight. It was gone, and it was a wonderful thing. So, and it's usually that way. I have some situational anxiety, but who doesn't, right? And but again, the last 3 weeks, man, it's really been there. I've been feeling down again with I'm doom spiraling. I'm on the couch. I'm looking. I'm not writing my Dharma talk. I'm not doing these things. I'm telling myself it's going to be okay because I know what I want to talk about. But my anxiety rose and got higher and higher. And as that happened, I didn't want to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with that, right? I'm going to watch more, movies on Netflix or something. I'm going to really sort of hide from that. And again, I know better. But what are you going to do? So today I had a little bit of higher anxiety coming into this talk. Actually, I feel pretty good right now, but yesterday it was really a whoo. And thankfully, my teacher gave me some beneficial words. They said, even if you fail spectacularly, that'll still be a benefit to the Sangha. Because when we all have bad days, we can all go, I'm having a pretty bad day. But do you all remember when Nasanskara totally imploded on the dais? Like, whoa, right? So either way, it is good advice. My teacher's a wise person. So, so when I'm in this mode of not doing the things that I'm supposed to, and when I had been doing this in the last week or so, I was reminded of this lesson that I heard about short-term and long-term karma. Karma, right? Karma is not the teaching of what goes around comes around. It's not a cosmic judicial service or system, that dictates because you did this bad thing now, some bad thing, will happen to you in the future. Put simply, karma is an acknowledgement that all of our actions have produce emotional states or feelings. And these feelings that our actions produce are very, very, very influential. And it's important to pay attention to these feelings that are produced by our actions. When you take an action, a feeling is produced in your body, and it can be subtle or it can be significant. Sometimes they're sort of hard to discern, and especially depending on whether it's short-term or long-term karma, or short-term or long-term consequence from our action, or the feeling that is produced from our action that we're talking about. So some examples of this, right? Like a good example is, I know that I should eat healthy, but I'm not feeling so good, so I'm kind of, pulling Cheetos out of the fridge or whatever, right? I don't keep Cheetos in the fridge. Who does that, right? That's freakish. Okay, so, but I'm not taking care of myself in the way that I'm supposed to be taking care of myself. So short-term benefit, right? Oh, this feels good. I'm eating whatever I want to eat. This is good. And I can see that short-term benefit. And because I don't feel good, I'm really reaching for these short-term benefits. Long-term repercussions. Okay, so on the other side of that, long-term, sometimes it's harder to discern that, right? So I've heard it said that the wise are folks who are able to see, or wisdom is being able to see the long-term benefit without immediate action, right? The long-term benefit of our karma or our actions that we take, so that we know going to the gym today, even though it might suck, it has long-term benefit for me. Sitting down on the cushion or doing my studies or, some of these other things that might not seem so appealing to us in the moment, these are the things that are going to produce long-term benefit for us. So that's sort of short-term, long-term positive karma. There's also a negative karma, like I'm in a rage and I punch the wall, right? That's not something that I would do, but I've seen people do that. And when I was young, I can tell you, there were some holes in some doors and things around my house. So that is that's sort of negative. It's short term, maybe instantaneous gratification, but then your hand hurts, and that's the karma almost directly. So that's realizing that very quickly. And then there's going to be long-term stuff because I got to walk past that hole in my wall now for like a month or longer than that. All right, I wasn't on top of patching those things. So I say this because I was ignoring this sort of lesson again that I know. I was choosing not to study, but instead, to watch YouTube or to do whatever. I'm choosing to not eat the foods that are good for me and take care of myself and really hunker down in my short-term benefit, which had long-term consequences for me as my anxiety rose and I continued to spiral into a feeling that really wasn't very good. Often we want to fast forward past, the work that we need to do. We don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to study. I don't want to open the book. I don't want to think, because I want to reap the benefit of this right away, of this accomplishment. The work isn't fun, and I want to feel good right now. And this, in contemplating this, I was reminded of this quote by Helen Keller that I love. It is, "I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but it is my chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble." Sometimes this is what I need when I don't want to get off the couch, or I don't want to do the things, right? Just the small tasks. It can be enough. Just do a little bit here and a little bit there. This quote came to mind also because of the desire to feel good right away. Of course, we want to accomplish great and noble things, or we want to have, I should say, that sense of accomplishment. Who doesn't want, to feel good about what they're doing? But putting in the work to get there is sometimes something that we don't necessarily want to do. I want to know the things that I am doing have impact, that they're impactful, that they're worthy. But, how do we get there? Sometimes we have to have the wisdom to see that the doing the small things are just enough at sometimes. So it's my chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble, right? So circling back to our work again as Buddhist practitioners, I think it is super important to know that those small things are impactful. You all have heard me talk about the ripples in the ocean that our actions can have. When we're overwhelmed by, the events in the world and things going on, and I've talked about being sort of overwhelmed about things in my personal life, but, that translates to everything in the world when we're watching the news and when we're doing things and we're like, what do we do? Okay. And I've said it before, but doing the small things, it can be enough. I was with some folks the other day in our Dharma discussion group on Thursday, and we were discussing social change. Really, we're talking a lot about engaged Buddhism in this Thursday group and how we can have an impact in the world. How we as Buddhists, what do we do to impact the world, and how do we go about that? So we were discussing, or Dr. Martin Luther King and the wonderful things at this discussion that nonviolence, I think, is the way it came up. Oh, this was a great example of nonviolence in the way that we can carry ourselves in the world to have these how do I want to say, to have the effect that people like Dr. Martin Luther King had, right? A great effect by this nonviolent action. And we were talking about Mother Teresa also as well. It came up in all of the wonderful things that these people did. These people that we know, we label them bodhisattvas. We say, and we hold them up for example and look at the great things they did. And that's true, of course. Someone said, but I don't have time to go to, and feed all of the homelessness, to volunteer, to give all of myself to something like that. I can't just stop living my life, stop going to work to take on that task. And so I'm not sure what to do. And it came to my mind at that time, right? This is the small tasks that we can be called on to do. Our practice of loving kindness and compassion, the way we conduct ourselves in the world, smiling at our neighbors, being kind to others. These small things, if that's what we can do, are enough. This is what I've said, but also it's working on ourselves. So it's not, you don't have to go and lead marches to have mass movements for social change. One of the things you can do is, you can look at what we manifest in ourselves and be the change we want to see. Manifest the world in yourself that you wish to live in. That's enough. Because maybe you don't feel so good this month, right? So you got to put the oxygen mask on, and you got to be able to help yourself before you can go out and take care of others. And it's not that is not a impactful thing. I'm more skillful with my anger when I'm not in that mood, when I'm not feeling, ate up by the world. So that's impactful. It affects my responsiveness over my reactiveness when I'm able to sort of take care of myself, look at my feelings, my thoughts, my perceptions, learn to love ourselves, to have compassion for ourselves, and to make space to heal my own sorrowful heart. Because, we can see directly how that will have an effect on the world when we go out into it. If we can carry, not only that, if we gain the knowledge how to care for ourselves, we gain the knowledge how to care for others, okay? And we can go out and we can treat people the same way that we want to be treated, as Kunga has said last week, the golden rule, the platinum rule, and we can do those things in the world. And through that action, we manifest the world that we want to live in, and that has the ripples that carry out. I used to think that my main work was essentially doing some of this off the cushion work as a Buddhist practitioner. I'm having a practice of loving kindness, being kind to others always, practicing the golden rule and the platinum rule. What I would maybe say is the informal practice, right? Which is just sort of manifesting these things in the world, going out and living the way that, maybe the Buddha said to live, or that we think that we should live, being kind to others. But what happens is even though I believe in loving kindness, I believe in having compassion for everyone, and I really, really believe it, that it's the only way to transform the world. I forget that in times when someone cuts me off in traffic, maybe, or I'm having a bad day. And, I know that the feelings of anger, when they come up, I know how to deal with them. I know that they have causes and conditions, that they're impermanent, but I forget that when my boss has done something that I don't necessarily like, and she's really got on my last nerve for the last time, he or she, not saying who this person is. But, my reactionary mind comes right out, and I can forget these things, even though I know them, even though, and in this last month, dealing with myself and my sorrow and being on the couch, even though I know what is good for me, I forget that in those times, and I go for the easy bait. So that is why it's important to come back to the cushion. Again, the Satipatthana Sutta, the body, feelings, emotions, mind, thoughts, perception, mind objects. And we have the realization through these things, through contemplating these. And this is what I might say is, more of our formal practice. And it's the other side of the coin, and it's just as important. Because through our formal practice and through our sitting, through a meditation practice, we come to have the realizations of these things, that we have the realization of interbeing and interconnectedness. And that understanding helps us give pause to the reactionary mind. And then we can cultivate an awareness, a real experiential knowledge of impermanence, that my thoughts and feelings are conditional, and that they're coming, maybe not from what's in front of me, but they're coming from something I've been carrying around for, since I was 17 years old, and someone told me I was no good, right? And here it is. I'm 50 years old. Here it is right in front of me. And it's in my head. You're no good, right? What kind of thing is that? That's the type of awareness we can cultivate through our practice of meditation on the cushion. How that comes to be, how it affects our actions, and how it manifests in our lives. And through that awareness, we can begin to pinpoint it. We can change it, right? So, because where does human suffering come from, right? Does it come from out there somewhere? Some other person's making a lot of people suffer. It comes from in here, right? We're reading a book downstairs in the Thursday group again, Lama Rod Owens. There's a quote, and he says, we are training in awareness or developing the capacity to see and understand how we're showing up in the world and how that showing up impacts others. If we don't do our work, we become work for others. So it's the balance, right? It's our informal work in the community and our formal work within ourselves and on the cushion. And as Buddhist practitioners, right, they're both equally important. It's important to have that balance, to be able to know what our work is and to carry that within ourselves out into the world. So today is the Buddha's birthday, or excuse me, I should say today is the day that we celebrate the Buddha's birthday. Many different people celebrate it in many different ways, on many different dates, at many different times. Of course, there's no right or wrong way. Downstairs, directly after service, we're going to have a potluck. If you brought something, great. If you didn't bring something, come downstairs and eat something someone brought, okay? And if you don't want to, if you're busy, thank you for being here. But don't feel that you can't walk down the stairs and be down there with us, right? If we got some bread down there, we'll cut it up in a lot of pieces, okay? So before I go real quick, or before we get on to that and get downstairs, because it is the Buddhist, or the day that we celebrate the Buddhist birthday, I thought about how the lessons that we could learn, or the lessons that I could convey to you about the story of the Buddha's birthday. And what comes to mind are, of course, birth and death, right? The Buddha was born. His mother, Mahamaya, passed away in childbirth or shortly thereafter. So, talk about an original wound that might lead one on a great quest to end suffering. There's something there. But There is a lot of lessons in the Buddha's early childhood. But what I thought of was this. The story of the Buddha's birth is an archetypal story, okay? It's, and don't throw things at me if you disagree, okay? But it may not be 100% true, okay? All the things that we read about it. It may or may not be, and I don't really know, but I want to challenge you all in this way, right? Stories, some of the stories as I've heard it, and there are different variations, go like this, right? Mahamaya, she was being carried along on her palanquin. I think that's how you say it. And she going to have the baby. She gets off. She walks to a tree. She leans against a tree, and out comes Siddhartha. Okay, possibly from her side, which is, I don't know. Maybe they're talking about some type of surgical, thing that I don't really know about. But the stories, as the story goes, I don't want to get too hung up on that. Siddhartha was born feet first, and took 7 steps. A lotus flower sprouted from every step, and he chanted the ancient texts or sutras or something. He said some words, I am the world honored one, and some other stuff. So, of course, we laugh, right? Of course, because that's a little bit silly. But my challenge is this. The Buddha said to us, or encouraged us not to not to have belief in things, especially the teaching, but to cultivate an experiential knowledge. In our world today, there's a lot of like, the truth is the truth and not the truth. And I agree, there are facts and there are not facts. But in order for us to bridge some of the gaps that I see and a lot of the issues we have, we are all on one side and those people are all on their side. And I believe this story and you believe that story, and we are set in our beliefs. And that creates the divisiveness. So my challenge is this. Who was there when the Buddha was born? Raise your hands. So, just for the rest of the day, maybe contemplate the possibility, just as an exercise now, that what happened, happened. Okay? And if we open our mind to that just a little bit, we just crack the door so that it's not shut, so that we're not, that this is my belief and this is correct and that is not correct. If we can just crack that door a little bit, I think that it invites an exercise of being able to see another person's story. We weren't there, and so believing that those things are not true might be sound, but it's also just our belief. It's not our experiential knowledge. It's all hearsay. It's all possibly mythology. I can't say what happened or what didn't happen. So that was kind of my exercise that I thought of, for today. And I would encourage you all just to sort of play with that in your mind a little bit, Hey, I'm not real sure, because I think it gives us a little bit of leeway or a little bit of a softer stance when we're dealing with other people with other beliefs. Your belief is ludicrous, that can't be. You know what? Do you know? Were you there? And was it, do you have that experiential knowledge? So let's have sort of a softening of that stance, That's my lesson for the Buddha's birth. So prepare yourself for meditation. Okay. I fear I'm running pretty far over time, but we're going to get some joys and concerns now going on. This is where we can practice the four immeasurables, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Share with one another, Sangha building, right? Our joys and our concerns. And Gail will have the microphone and come around if you raise your hand if you have anything you'd like to say. I'll start real quick. Man, I'm glad that month is over. Did it. Okay.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm Yose Wangdi, and sorry I haven't been to the monastery in a while. I was in India and then just working.
It's good to see
And
you, Yose.
yeah, it's very good to be here. But for today, for some reason, I didn't know today was the Buddha's birthday. Now, this is an extremely auspicious day in the world, for the Buddhist world. And so I'm glad I came here. For some reason, I woke up this morning and I thought, I must go. So I bought some flowers and I came here. So today, I just want to say something of the significance of today. It's celebrated as the terminology used in India is Buddha Purnima. Purnima means full moon. So is today a full moon day? It's got to be full moon because that's the day the Buddha was
believe
born in
it's-
the month of May.
I believe it's the 8th, maybe I read.
Really?
I'm not 100% sure. Don't hold me.
So,
to it,
so Buddha Purnima is the day when the Purnima means the full moon day. So May full moon day is the year when the Buddha was born. He attained enlightenment on the same day, different years, of course, and passed away on the same day. So today is extremely auspicious in the Buddhist world. And where I come from the Himalayan areas. So there are lots of monasteries. Monks begin to meditation and fasting a month ahead of today. And today is the day when they parade all the sutras, the religious books, in the streets where I come from. They parade it, and we, the commoners, we are not the ecclesiastics, right? We are the lay people. So we carry those books along the road, and everybody comes and pays respect. So today is extremely auspicious day. So I just wanted to share that. And another thing I just want to share is you talked about the Buddha's life, right? So I teach East Asian religion at GBSU, by the way. So there are so many different renditions on the Buddha's life, and he's become larger than life. It's kind of mythified, as you said, right? But it's interesting. BBC has made a movie out of it. It's called The Life of the Buddha. So if you see that movie, it's in YouTube, I think. The Life of the Buddha. The Buddha was born in Lumbini, which in those days, of course, 6th, 5th century BC, there was no India per se, right? It was the subcontinent. So today there's a Nepal, there's India. So today in Lumbini, the place where the Buddha was born falls inside Nepal, just on the border between India and Nepal, Lumbini. And I was in Lumbini some 13, 14 years back with my family. So we happened to go to that because it's a pilgrim site. We happened to go to that very spot where the Buddha was born. And interestingly, we found it was a white temple at that time. So it was all cordoned off, and there was a tree, pretty dried up, but there was a tree, and there was a big cordon around it, and there was archaeological digging going on by archaeologists from around the world, I think. So we couldn't take pictures, no photographs allowed or anything. Archaeological digging was going on, and it was interesting because one would think that that tree is associated with the Buddha's life. So that was the tree where Queen Maya placed her hand on the tree. She was tired in that garden, and Buddha was born. So, and according to BBC, so that was what I saw there. And we were not allowed to touch the tree. We could go close by. I actually touched the tree. I looked around. There were cameras also around, but I did touch the tree, and I saw some people were doing the same thing, So anyway, so and then the BBC movie talks about that tree was tested, and it had radiocarbon dating to 6th, 5th century BC. That's why archaeological digging is going on, and it's a heritage site now. So myth is one thing, right? It's been mythified because there's so many embellishments in his life, right? But some things are facts.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Who else? Oh, did you say yes? Okay.
Hi, I'm Mary John. I've been coming for a while and just want to express gratitude for the Sangha. I'll be traveling for about 2.5 months this summer, but I will see you all on YouTube as often as possible. So I will be back in the fall, in early August. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I just wanted to mention that I had a horrible 2 months because I was missing this medication that I needed, and then I finally just got it last week, so I'm feeling a lot better. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chase. I want to just echo Nasanskara. I'm so glad that April is over, though unfortunately not quite out of the woods yet. I want to share a concern. I have the real estate blues. I need to find a new place to rent by the 1st. Please hold me in your thoughts. It's, I'm sure you guys know, a pretty dreadful process, both trying to find a place, lock it down, and moving. So thank you, guys.
Oh,
Anything from online?
sure.
Hi, I'm Ivy. I just wanted to share a joy. I've also definitely, to preface it, have been kind of down in the dumps for the last few months for pretty obvious reasons. But yesterday, B and I went, my girlfriend behind me, went outside for like hour and a half and just picked up trash around our house and on our street. And it felt really good. And it felt like a good way to get some of that control back when the world seems like really cruel and uncontrollable. It was just a nice little reminder that starting local has like a real impact. And like we drove to Temple this morning and I was just like enjoying the beautiful, sunny, clean streets. So I just wanted to encourage anyone who's maybe feeling hopeless or down in the dumps to maybe try that because it was really nice.
I deem that a great and noble task.
Good morning. I had a pretty exciting encounter in the shower today when I saw a skittering little shape on my shower liner, and I realized that there are still things in life that can make me scream. And I kind of realized that when having this giant wolf spider, I think it was pregnant, having this giant wolf spider inside my shower, I had a lot of feelings about it, but I kept feeling like I really hope it doesn't get closer because then I might do something that I know we would both regret. But I managed to get a mason jar and a pamphlet out of my organ bench, which I learned was from 1985, and I put it outside, and I hope a bird didn't eat it because that was a pretty beautiful specimen. I just didn't want her that close to me.
Okay. This is a joy. Our son, the only child we have, is all grown up now and lives and works in Thailand. He comes home once a year, and he's here right now. Not here, but he's back at the house. He'll be going home either tomorrow or Tuesday. But on Saturday, our son Michael and my son Peter did the Tulip Time run together. Peter can't do the run. He used to do the marathons and stuff. But they walked, and Michael, who was training for a marathon, said, "No, I'm not going to run. I'm going to walk with you." And they crossed the finish line together. It was pretty cool.
I'm Nancy, and I have a joy. My mother is soon going to be 91 years old, and a few years ago we moved her from Michigan down to Florida, and she now lives in assisted living down there. She didn't really expect to be back in Michigan again, but her husband is from Chicago, and he passed in March. He passed, and so she was able to come up to Chicago for his service. And I said, well, I can drive to Chicago. Would you like to come back to Michigan? And a week ago, my mother and I and my brother and my son and my daughter from Denver, her husband, and my son's family, his wife, and 3 children now were able to get together with mom back here in Michigan at my son's house. And my son has 3 children. The oldest one, my mother met a couple years ago, but she had not met Julia, whose middle name is May, named after my mother, who is Elna May. So she got to meet 1.5-year-old Julia May. And I shared earlier that there's a new baby in the family. So Tommy he was born on March 31st. And so my mother was able to hold baby Tommy, and we were all together. It was a beautiful day.
Okay. Thank you, Gail. All right. We'll hold space for those joys and concerns for just a moment. Okay. A few announcements for May. We'll run through these quickly, I hope. Potluck celebration for Buddha's birthday. Hey, it's today. Downstairs. So that's our celebration in the community room. Please join us down there, as we celebrate the birth of our teacher, the Buddha. Flower donations. As we prepare for Mother's Day, the service is next week, Sunday. We invite you to contribute towards the purchase of fresh flowers. These you may see in the back of your chant book, and then also on the bulletin board out front, there's a QR code on there where Sangha members, if they choose, can scan the QR code to help donate directly to the purchase of fresh flowers for our Mother's Day celebration, which will be again next week, May 11th. Venerable Sun Shin Aaron Garcia's Dharma transmission and potluck will be the following Sunday, May 25th. Sunshin will receive Dharma transmission from their teacher. Actually, that's not the following Sunday. That's 2 Sundays. Well, it's May 25th. Okay. Dharma transmission ceremony during Sunday service. Please join us. It's going to be awesome. Shuji, Sunshin's teacher, will be in town from Kansas. And if you all have never seen an ordination ceremony like that, or one of the ones that we have here at the temple, because we've had several members have ordination ceremonies, come and join us for that. It's a great celebration. So, online meditation group Wednesdays, 6 to 6:45 via Zoom. Contact Kunga or see the newsletter. Dharma discussion group, as I've mentioned today, and I kind of always hopefully mention because I love it so much, on Thursdays from 9:30 to 11 a.m. I know that's a hard time on Thursdays. I just want to throw out there, I told my boss, said, hey, it's an hour and a half. Could I take an hour and a half lunch? I'll come in an hour early. And that's what I do. I go on my lunch break for an hour and a half. I go back to work. I eat a sandwich there. It's a wonderful discussion. We have a really great time on Thursdays, so downstairs here at the temple. Again, contact Ryan Duffield or see the newsletter for information. Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board meeting is Sunday, May 18th. All are welcome to view the board meeting, to attend, and so that you can, see the work of the board. These folks do a lot of important work for our temple. It's a wonderful thing that they're doing. So thank you to the board also. And that is on May 18th, 11:30 to 1. No, excuse me. Grand Rapids Buddhist Tour. Yeah, 11:30 to 1, May 18th. Buddhist-based recovery meetings, Monday, 6:30, meditation, 7 o'clock on Monday in the temple. Wednesdays, 6:30 at the Alano Club, at 1020 College. Fridays at 10:05 meditation and 10:30 in the temple, or join via Zoom. All the information for all of these events you can find at our website at zengr.org, or see the weekly newsletter. Also, one last announcement. Kunga had, Venerable Kunga has asked me to make you all aware of a Sangha group that's going to be formed to study or to follow along. I will show you a picture of this because it's going to be on the community bulletin board as you walk in the door there. The 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. It's a Buddhist discussion and commentary by Geshe, I apologize, Geshe Larampa Jampa Chodrup. That's going to be Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, beginning on May 5th. It is via Zoom. Contact Kunga for information. My understanding is well, I'll let him explain it to you more, because I may have a varied understanding of that. But that's the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva. I'm going to put this back up on the bulletin board because I snatched it off of there. Okay. Yes. Yes. I wonder if I have a thing on it, but our Sangha Mutual Aid group had a meeting. I don't recall if it was last Sunday before that. We had a great attendance, and we're going to meet the second Sunday of every month directly after temple. So please come and be a part of that, the Sangha Mutual Aid group. Yes, please do. All right. Thank you. Anything else on that? Okay. Second Sunday directly after temple service. It's going to be a wonderful Sangha building group, mutual aid, and where we can all get together and support one another. So I think it's time for closing gathas. No. Yes. It's not yet. Not time yet. Thank you, Ambo. Picking up mats and cushions after service. Thank you. Yes, Byapchi, do you want to use the mic?
Hello, friends. My name is Bapchi Kent. I sit on our board here at the temple, and I'll make this quick because we're over time, but we have 2 board members who are reaching the end of their term and will not be renewing, and so we need new board members. If you would be interested in serving on the board, please reach out to me. Again, my name is Bapchi or Kent. John is a board member also. He's here today. I don't think our other board members are here today, but we could use your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapchi, and thank you for all that you all do, and to the whole board. It's a wonderful group and do a lot of hard work, so thank you. Appreciate that. Much gratitude. Closing gathas? Going once, going twice. All right.
turn to page, we'll find them on page 6. Thank you. Together we say, for all
Unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born in my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for it all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
And if we would turn to one another, left side to the right side, we'll give each other a final dot. Thank you all very much. Someone will come around, volunteers to collect chant books, and at the end, if we could pick up the zaputs and zabutons, and we'll stack them in this closet over here behind the curtain.